Picking up from part 2. Now we're going to do the UV layout, which is basically a custom template for your Lego skin. Okay, so on part 2 you had a choice, just do the shading like this, kind of look like Fallout Boy. But you can also grab pre-existing textures online that you can then wrap around parts of the Lego character using the cereal box technique that we learned from previous lesson. However, this one is what if you want to make your own custom texture, right? So that's the whole point of this lesson, is to unwrap this, save it as a layout, then go to your favorite program like Photoshop, Krita, or GIMP, and then you can build your own custom texture. Okay, so we'll get started. Usually when it comes to this, let's say video games, all this would be contained in a single square aspect a texture. Okay, it will be laid out so that you don't waste any space, so that to maximize memory and whatnot. But to simplify the explanation, I'm going to do it per part, meaning we'll have one just for the leg, one leg, because it'll be identical to this one. You can just split the image or the UV map to match if you have one that's supposed to be, right leg only or left leg. Same thing with the arm, so on and so forth. Okay, so we will kind of simplify it using that way. All right, so first things first is let's take a look at what we need to shade. All right, so first the body right here. So I'm going to go to solid mode. We're going to do the body separately. Okay, and then we'll have the hip or the waist part right here. The one of the leg. Okay, we'll just do one leg. Then one of the arms and one of the hands right there. Okay, so we will basically turn off solidify. Well, let's just get rid of that for now. Okay, this one, the mirror also, because we just need one. Same thing with the hand. I'm going to get rid of mirror. The leg, they're already separate, so we don't have to do anything. Okay, so basically we just prepared this thing. We got one arm, one hand, one leg, waistline, and torso. Head we already did with the previous lesson. Okay, so let's get started. So let's first create a texture for it. All right, so we will create a blank texture, and then the whole point is you will be making one of these type of textures. Let me just go here, scroll here real quick if I can find it. There we go, this one right here. All right, so you will I'll detail more detail than this. You can see here, you can see the shape of the Lego character, where you can just use the front right here, and all they have is the front and the face right here. So we'll do one just for each part. Okay, so how you make the side, so on and so forth. All right, so but we got to give it a blank texture first. So I'm going to go to shading here, and we're going to do it a little bit kind of like the long way. Okay, so that you get to see the entire process. All right, so what I have here is we're going to start with nothing, right? So I'm just going to get rid of all the textures or the shaders that we have applied from the previous one. Okay, let's kind of leave it all blank in a way. All right, so there it is. No texture other than the head right there. We're going to start with the body. Okay, let's give it a texture. I mean a shader. And we can just start it with the regular BSDF right here. However, I'm going to give this one a name now. This one's the body or the torso. All right. We're going to leave everything as is. Roughness, definitely not metallic, not unless you want metallic looking parts of it. Okay. And just the vanilla one, right? Now we're going to add a texture that doesn't exist. So we're going to add a node, right? And we're going to add a texture, image texture. This is the same thing as if you grab one of these guys here and plug it to the base color, otherwise, but you're plugging this one. We're going to create a blank one. Okay, texture, image texture. As you can see, there's nothing. It's either you want to open one, get one, or make a new one. Okay, so we're going to get a new one and click new. Blender's asking us, how big do you want this? All right, so you can go crazy with this if your computer allows it, meaning if your computer can handle it. The bigger this thing is, the more you can zoom in on your character without pixelating that skin. Okay, the rule of thumb is you're 1-to-1 with your magnification. So let's say your movie is going to be 4K and you have an image that is 4K, you could actually zoom in on that body, frame it at 4K without pixelation. However, let's say you have a 4K movie with a 4K texture on the body, and then you zoom in on, say, on the right side chest right here. Well, that thing will pixelate, because when you zoom in, then you're actually doubling in, and you don't have the density of the texture, so you will pixelate. Okay, so they call that level of detail, depending on what you're planning to do. So you have multiple textures designed for a specific shot. All right. So, but in video game, they do scale that. They also call it level of detail, and then the engine does take care of all that. But going back to this one, 1K image is 1024. You know, it's fairly low, but depending on the game engine or what you plan to do, what you plan to shoot. For practice, 1K is pretty good. 2K is also not bad with today's kind of decent computer. 4K if you have the power, so on and so forth. Okay. So we'll, for the sake of demo, and I can show you some math functions right here, we're going to go to 2K, right? So if you don't want to type in the numbers and you don't know what, you don't know how to multiply it or add it so that you can go 2K, 4K, you can do asterisk times 2 right here, which will do a 2048. It just doubles it. So you can do that in Blender. You can do math operations. Okay, so now I have a 2K map. It's going to be black at the beginning. I don't want it black because I need to be able to see my layout. I just want to go kind of mid-gray right there. Okay. We don't need alpha channel. Nothing will be transparent. Okay, it's not going to be a 32-bit. It's going to be blank. Okay, because you can do grid or color grid, which is good for knowing your UV spacing, but that's for another lesson, so we're just going to leave it blank. Okay, I'm going to give it a name though. This is your body layout, or let's call it UV layout, so that you know we're dealing with UVs. Okay, body UV layout, 2K, gray, uncheck everything, blank, click OK. There it is, it's generated. So if I plug this to the base color, all right, there it is. Okay, you're probably thinking, well, that's kind of fancy, but yeah. Oh, what happened to, what is this, right? You're saying I could have just made, yeah, of course, you could just made the color, base color, but we're making a file, right? An image file that we can save, right? So that's all it takes to actually get started. We now have a texture, like a photo, like one of these guys. It's just gray, plug into the base color, and there it is. So now let's go to our UV editing to set it up. Okay, so UV edit, and we can see it in preview mode if you want, but since it's all just gray, we can just go to solid mode if that's what it takes for you guys to see it better. Okay, so right here, very important that we are now going to unwrap this. Okay, and I'm gonna do a quick kind of example going back and forth how this kind of works. Okay, so right here, in order for us to see the texture where it's kind of laid out, if you click this down arrow, there it is, body UV layout. If we click that, it actually previews the actual material we're going to use. Okay, and to make sure that this one is actually saved, well, actually we don't need to save this, and we're only doing this in case we crash. You go image, save a copy. All right, there's also a way to save it on the exit, which so I don't recommend. You need to be proactive with saving your stuff. Okay, we will actually do a UV, export UV layout. So it will take a snapshot of this and actually export it. Then we can go to Photoshop, Krita, or GIMP, or Affinity, whichever you prefer, and you can trace the layout and actually create the texture. Okay, so we'll go back to that one, and then we'll replace the layout, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's first unwrap this thing for painting or for texture creation. Okay, so I'm going to go to the front. Okay, I'm going to press A to select everything in face mode, and as you can see, Blender thinks it's still the cube. All right, so what we'll do is I want to make sure that I reset all my transform on this. I have no scaling or stretching on some other parts, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm going to go edit mode. Without edit mode, you can't do your unwrapping. So I can just quickly press U here to unwrap. As you can see, nothing happens, right? It's just kind of distributed out there the same. If I go another unwrap, let's say, hey, let's unwrap it like a cube, because it kind of looks like a cube. There it is. Okay, you can actually see here that Blender split all this with projection of a cube. All right, so if I go to the front right here, there it is. It has the correct aspect. Okay, I can actually select all this and then move it somewhere. Okay, press A again to select the whole thing. See, when you are not selecting everything here, you can't see all the other selection. Okay, that's because this particular tool is not on by default. Okay, it's the UV sync selection. It looks like a slanted up and slanted down arrow. If you click this on, it shows you everything that's part of the body without the selection. So as you can see here, if I just select the front, you still see those. Let me show you when it's not on. Okay, you don't see the other parts. You only see what you have selected. So it's kind of important for us right here to be able to see everything. However, it's kind of confusing because you still got to probably select this side right here just so that you know which one is that. And it makes sense, right? Where that position is, because then you can move it, select the other one. Okay. However, because the problem here is this, when you have this on, you lose your island selection. So let's talk about that. Let's turn this off first. When you're manipulating your, I'm going to turn on my screencast. I apologize, I keep forgetting screencast. Okay, but you should know the shortcuts by now. We've done several lessons. So I'm going to press A to select everything. Okay, I don't have UV sync selection on. It's off right now. Here, this is the same thing as going to edit mode when you're editing, right? In UV, you get to select points. So the first one is point. So I can just select a point. Next one is edges. I can just select the edge. Face, the entire thing, right? If I, which might select, yeah, you just select one. Like so. Oh, you still got to drag, okay. All right, but you can't, okay, so you're selecting the entire thing by dragging. All right, and then the other one would be island selection. So island selection is, if you just click, this is what I was hoping I was clicking. Island selection, if you just click one part of that, the entire island or the entire face that was unwrapped by itself gets selected. So you can easily move this. So you don't have to hunt it down. So if I click that, okay, that for sure is just one part. That's probably the top, yep. And that's probably the left side because this is the right side when we selected it before. Finally the bottom, okay? So the island selection, when you click on UV sync, it disappears. So you're back to this one. So you better, you probably still would need to select it here in face mode. Then you get to select it here, at least you see where the distribution is, okay? So that's all I did, right? So since this is kind of like a cubic shape, all I did was select everything, press U, and then go to cube projection. Because it looks like a cube, it'll do that, right? So, and the other way, the long way would be project from view, selecting each side for each one, and then you'll be able to kind of mix and match it, okay? So all we did is select everything and then cube projection, and then went to individual one and just kind of spread it out. Okay, so the reason why I'm spreading it out here so we could kind of clean up our area right here. You need to fill all this in here in a very efficient manner, meaning you're not wasting a lot of space. You pretty much want to use the entire thing. All right, so we're going to start with the front. Okay, so that's the front. Very important that we have this right here. All right, and we're not fitting it in there yet. We're just kind of using this as our workspace. Okay. Next, we want our left side right here. So I'm going to select that, and then we're going to bring it here. And as you can see, very similar to the cereal box layout that you see, we're going to put it right there, exactly where it kind of meets. Or not exactly, but we'll see it right there. Okay? All right, so we're kind of unwrapping it, right? So next is we're going to select the this side. All right, and that would be that. So we bring that in over here. And again, we do the exact same thing. Just kind of be careful with line up properly. We can snap into points and whatnot. Just kind of eyeball this. It's not crucial. All right, the back. It's up there. All right, you can already kind of see and understand what we're trying to do here. It's like we're unwrapping that Lego. Imagine it being like a cardboard, and we kind of cut it in here and then kind of spread it out. All right, so front. So we got all that stuff, right? So this is the top, right? Right there. So it just connects either to the back or the front. We're going to do the front because it's quite obvious. That's what we want, okay? And then finally the bottom. All right, since we have the face selection, I can just grab that point in the center. That's what I was missing when I was doing this. All right, it's too small. Or I've never done face selection a lot. I always use island. Okay, there it is. So it's now unwrapped. Okay, so if we actually grab everything and try to scale it and fit it in that circle, square, not circle, we're wasting some space. You see it. So this one, you know, we probably could fit it like so. I mean, technically, we are done at this point. It's just that there's some wasted space, right? The thing here, especially the bottom, you will not see this, just that area right there. So it's not a priority. We could probably, well, depending on what you plan to do here, right? So if you just want to make it like a paper craft, we are done. This is it. We can just export this UV layout, okay? However, you see my mistake right there. It's not quite aligned. You see it? It is not quite aligned. And if you try to draw a straight line here, hoping there'll be a line that goes like this, it'll be like a slight cutoff. Okay, because I didn't properly align that. So we can kind of stitch this, right? So if you want to, let's say, maximize it, and you don't plan to draw on the actual object, like a texture paint, you plan to do, let's say, Photoshop, then this trick will not work. It will be quite tricky, actually, because if I move this over here, resize it just so that it uses the most of the texture, then there's no way we can make any of this align, right? So let's say you're trying to do a Lego texture with like overalls, right? So you want those straps going like this. So that's kind of hard to match if this thing is away from here and it's a different size. Okay. However, Substance Painter or even Blender's texture paint, you can actually paint on the model. So it doesn't matter how big that is or how small this one. If you're just painting here, it will connect. It will compensate here when you draw it out. Okay. So what we want to do is just kind of make it like this, kind of like the cereal box. But we want to make sure that all these things are actually stitched together. So let me show you how you do that. So I'm going to move this away so to make it really obvious that they're not connected, okay? We're going to do this in edge mode. Okay, so I have edge right there, so I can select that edge, and it kind of shows you where all these things are actually kind of connecting, right? So I can select this edge and then that edge, so on and so forth. So at this point, I will want to unlink my selection, okay? UV sync selection, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to press face right here and then press A here. So we get to see everything here, but we have access to what we want to accomplish. Okay, so I can just select those. So all I did is turn off UV sync selection first, go here to face mode, select everything so we get to see everything in here. Then I go to edge mode. All right, so this is important. Okay, you shift click the last selection where you want this one to kind of snap to. So what we're going to do is stitch this. Okay, so I want to stitch this line to snap stitch to this. Okay, so I will select where I want for selection to snap to last. So I select that and then shift click this one. I go to UV and then stitch. All right, it gives you a little preview. It's saying, Blender is like, hey, this thing will go over here. You see it light green, right? When you like what you're seeing, press return or enter and it's confirmed. Now this thing is together. Okay, well, don't do that what I did. I just want to show you, okay? That's why I right click to undo. All right, that's quite obvious what's happening there, right? I'm going to go island selection here, grab this island away so you could see that there's a gap between that. Go back to edge, select that one, and then shift click that line right there. Go to UV. It's shift V, I think, or control V, the keyboard shortcut. But I'm going to keep doing this so you guys can see where it's actually at. Stitch. It gives you a little preview. Hey, it will jump right there. There's the green. When you're happy with that, press return, so on and so forth. So let's do that. So let me go island first and then island selection, and let me just make sure these things are separated so we can actually see the stitching. Okay, so to stitch this to that, another way to kind of preview it, we did turn off it before. If I click on UV sync selection and you're in edge mode, if you want to stitch this with that, it actually gives you a preview. It shows you where it's supposed to be connected based on its orientation here, right? So if I select this and then it already highlights, hey, that's going to be selected to that, right? So if I click this, it tells you it's going to be connected over there. Keep in mind we did a UV cube projection on this. If we did project from view on each one, it'll actually be correct. It's just more work because you have to go on 6 sides and to do that, right? So but this one needs to be kind of rotated, right? You can see it just kind of, that's where it's supposed to be. Okay, and then if I click this one connects to that one, so it needs to be flipped, right? So, and it's easy to kind of flip these things. You just simply do an X -1, so we could do that. So if I could select this one here, okay, and I go in that one as well, and I go S to scale along the x-axis -1, press enter, and that's flipped already. So now let's check it. So if I select that side, it's now saying that that's the correct one. That's where this one is supposed to go, right? So let's do the same thing. I mean, we can check that now. We can stitch that. All right, that looks like it's correct. I'm going to press enter. Okay, and then I'm going to select this edge. It's saying that it connects to that one, so this one needs to be flipped. I'm going to go to I mean, I can select it like that as well, and on edge mode, don't need to go to face mode. So S X along the x-axis -1. Oop, maybe that's not the correct way. All right, let me do just the polygon so it doesn't, because when you're in edge it detects the connection, so that's the whole point of sync mode. So just go to face mode, select both SX -1 to flip it over, go to edge, let's take a look, let's detect it. Okay, it's saying that that's the correct one now. All right, so I can do UV and stitch, and that's the preview. Press enter. All right, let's preview this one. Okay, let's see if it connects to this one. UV stitch. It's still going up this way. For some reason it wants to flip it. All right, so let's flip this one here. I'm going to escape to cancel that one. So I will go to my, this one I can rotate this, or I can also do SY -1. It flipped it over this way, vertical instead of horizontal. Let's take a look. Okay, it's saying that's where it kind of belongs right there. Okay, so we can do UV stitch and it jumps right there. Press enter. All right, and there it is. So that's our UV layout for the body. Okay, we can actually go edge to edge if you want to, but I think that should be fine right there. Okay, so we need to export this. I'm going to press A over here in face mode to select everything. Make sure everything is highlighted. Okay, let's go to UV over here and then export UV layout. All right, so what they'll ask you, so I have a folder for all this. Okay, so I'm gonna go torso UV layout, so there's no question, or I did call that body. Let's just be consistent. Oh, if I can only spell. Okay, body UV layout, PNG 2K, so you can still change it here. It will upres it, and it doesn't matter if you go to Photoshop then you decided you wanted an 8K image because you're just tracing lines. It's fine as well. So we'll just leave it as is. Okay, we can also go with all UVs right there. Then in case you miss anything, it will project all of them. But just make sure everything's selected right there. Export UV. Okay. And that's done. I'm going to hit save right here. I'm going to go to my Finder to look for that real quick. Body UV layout. There it is. You see it? So now we can go to Photoshop or Krita or GIMP. Okay. I'm going to have a video where you can find Krita and GIMP, which are painting and photo manipulating software that are free. Okay. So if you don't like paying Photoshop or Adobe, and you just want simple stuff like what we do sometimes, you don't need Photoshop. You can use GIMP or Krita or combine the two together and save you some money. So I'm going to open File and navigate to find where you save your UV layout. There's mine right there. Click Open. All right, and this one will open like so. Hopefully we don't crash here because I have Blender running in the back and video capturing as well. Okay, so there it is. So you can just click a plus sign right here, get another layer. So this is very Photoshop like. We might have a crash course in Krita right here just for this purpose, but for this one I'm assuming you at least know how to use an image editing program that you'll be able to kind of do very simple stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna make an epic painting or anything here. I'm just gonna draw some lines and whatnot, right? So I'm gonna go to my fill bucket right here, and let's give this a color. I'm gonna go with Gary's favorite color right there. Okay, and then I'm just gonna dump that color in here. Okay, so we now have color. So if we just export this now, our Lego will be that. Okay, so but I'm gonna select this layer, lower the opacity here so I can trace the lines right there. So this is where and I'm hoping to get my tablet yesterday. It didn't come, and I'm gonna do a review and unboxing of that one. So the minimum screen tablet that you can use, but right now I'm just using the mouse. So pardon the mess at this point. Okay, so I'm just gonna use one of this pre-made brush right here, and then let's go with Martin's favorite color, neon green. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of draw along that line right there so we have some line kind of edging. Okay, hopefully I don't crash. I have a feeling I'll crash because I should have restarted my computer. Okay, anyway, for the sake of demo and making this go fast, all right, I'm just gonna go here. That's the front, that's the right, no, that's the left side, right side, that's the back, that's the bottom, that's the top. Okay, we're going to bring our opacity back to 100%. Should have made a new layer just for those so it doesn't look as horrendous as this one. I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to put it on UV layout just so that we see which one is which. Okay, so body UV layout. I'm going to put texture just so that we know which one is which. Leave it as a PNG and it'll become 2K because that's what we opened. All right, save. So now compression, yeah, you can make it smaller or bigger, doesn't matter. 3 is fine. This is just for demo. Okay. Oh, there it is, Blender in the back quit. So I'm going to click on OK. So I ran out of RAM, folks. So all right, but this one is still going, so I'm going to click OK. Okay, Let me turn on Blender. All right, so let's see if we can recover from the last session. All right, it cannot. So what about last save? All right, let's take a look. Hopefully, it does not. Okay, so let me open my previous one. Okay, there it is, because I did save it. Okay, all right. So see, saving works. Okay, and we went with Krita here. I saved this one as our texture. So if we go to Blender, we go to shading, we're going to replace our initial one. Remember, we made this one as a 2K image, right? So I'm going to go up right here, go to my pictures, UV layout, and there's our awesome texture. Replace the layout with this, and voila, there it is. Look at that. Smell an Emmy or a nanny. All right. So for the sake of demo, yeah, that's probably fine right there. All right, what we need, and that's how it works. All right, so let's do one real quick. This time we're not going to stitch. I'm going to show you how to just snap. Okay, so let's take a look. So we're going to grab the leg, and we're going to give it a blank one again. Right, so new. I'm going to go leg UV layout. Okay, and we will get a texture node just like before. New, we can just do 1K on this. You can do whatever you want, because you tracing it on Krita or Photoshop, you export whatever you can get. You can get whatever in there. UV layout. Okay, and we're gonna leave everything. Click OK. Plug that in. Did I make it black? Yes, I did. Okay, we'll leave it as black. UV editing. Okay, let's take a look at the leg. So let's press A to select everything. Press N right here to turn on my screencast. All right. So let's take a look. We're just going to do a front projection, so on and so forth here. Let's hide other body parts that we don't need. Here's a little trick for you. If you don't want to see anything but this one for now, hopefully this is backslash or forward slash. Is it forward slash? It's the one below the question mark to the left of the shift key. I apologize. I always mix this up. Whatever that slash is, okay, it's underneath the question mark. I think that's backslash. All right, comment below so that you can school. But anyway, if you click that button, look, it isolates everything. Isn't that awesome? Okay, it just hides everything except for what you're looking at. You press that again, everything goes back. All right, so this one right here is what I'm talking about. Is that backslash or forward slash? Yeah, anyway. All right. Okay, so if I click that isolate this, then I can work easily. I can see everything, right? So let's go to the front. View, viewpoint, front, if you don't have a numpad or numpad 1, okay? So right here, I'm going to press A to select everything. I'm simply going to go U, project from view. There's that. So we got our front one, okay? And now let's go to the side, this one right here, with everything still selected, right? Press U. Oh, just select this one, sorry. We're just going to select this. Okay, just going to select that side. U, project from view. And then I'm going to go here, go to my move tool, just kind of move that away right there. Okay, I'll go to the other side, select all this. So this would be Control 3 or view, viewpoint left. Okay, press U to unwrap, project from view, move that away. All right, let's go with back. That would be Control 1, or you get the drift. You select which one. Actually, I'm going to go all the way here so I can select. All right, I think that's the center one. Yes. Okay, so Control 1, U, project from view. It's exactly where that is. I'm just going to move that over there. Okay. What else do we have? The bottom. That would be Control 7 or bottom. U, project from view. I'm going to move that here because that connects right there, right? And then finally, just this upper foot kind of deal. That would be 7, which is the top. U, project from view. There it is. All right, so we do want to fix this one so that if you want to draw a straight line, you would actually see it go like this. Otherwise, you will not see it, right? So let me grab the, that's the bottom, correct? I'm going to move it down. This is the front of the foot. If I move this down right there, and then we can then select this one and then just kind of go over here. Okay, so basically that, this one, and that one, and the bottom, straight line if I want to kind of stitch them all together, right? Which we could stitch, but let's say you don't want to deal with flipping x minus 1, all that kind of stuff. You just want to snap it how you're seeing it, okay? So let's take a look first if these are actually connecting, all right? So if I go to edge mode while the sync selection is on, I select this one. Obviously, you see it, right? This one connects to that, okay? Because we did project it right there. It's correct. This one connects to that one. This one connects to that. Excellent. Everything is connecting. This one connects to that. This one connects to this one. All right. So we'll do the stitching and then we'll do a snap. All right. So let's do the stitch first. That's quite obvious here, right? So if I click that and then I go to UV stitch, gives me the preview, press enter, it just goes there, right? And then let me stitch this one because that one is that one, these two connecting. UV stitch. You can do also Shift R to repeat the last command, okay? And then let's do a snapping here. Why am I snapping here? Well, it's just to show you that's another way to kind of snap to and connect, okay? So if I turn on the magnet right here and I say, okay, vertex, okay, I can select my face mode right there, and then I could also go like so. It snaps. So it's one way to in a way to stitch. It's not really connected, but it's there if you don't want to deal with figuring out which one. You just want to connect it as you see it. Okay, that's one way. But there's a reason why we have UV sync on, and when we click the edge right here, it already knows where to go. You know, it's quicker. So let's do that. UV stitch, preview, press enter. Click and just click one. It knows where to go. UV stitch, press enter. Okay, and let's click this guy here, right there. UV stitch. Yeah, press enter. All right, and there we go. That's all. We're gonna press A to select everything, G to move. Turn up snap. I forgot. Yeah, otherwise that'll be messy. Okay, we're just gonna try and squish this in here. All right, right there. That would be our unwrapping of the foot. Did I miss any? I don't think so. All right, so I'm gonna go here, UV, export UV layout, same thing as before. Left leg UV layout. All right, export UV. That's a PNG, like default, so the previous one. Save. Let's go back to Krita. All right, so now in Krita, I can just go open an existing one. The left leg UV layout, click open. There it is, okay? We're gonna have a new layer right there, paint bucket, same drill. Where's my paint bucket? There we go. Color, this time we're going to do Martin's favorite color. We're going to add another layout, layer. We're going to go with Gary's favorite color, and this time we're going to lower the opacity on the paint layer so we can see where the lines are. we're going to work on the new layer right here with Gary's favorite color, and then we're just going to go. All right, so this one here. So this is Gary's Air Jordans, right? So I'm going to go. That will be the side right here. Let's do the Gary's Air Jordan. All right, copyright infringement already. We haven't even hit 1,000 subscribers. We're going to be called out for. All right, look at that matching. Look at the symmetry on this one. Okay, and then, but we all know Gary is owned by someone, so we're just going to put the owner. This is a movie reference, folks. Not being mean, just being funny. All right, there you go. All right, so let's say that's our texture. Awesome, it looks great. Okay, so I'm gonna file, export this, or save as. Okay, I'm gonna save it as a PNG. I'm gonna put texture and hit save. All right, yeah, compression of 3. I mean, it's just for practice. You probably don't want to compress it when you're doing for a high quality one. And let's take a look. We're done with Krita. Bye, Krita. Quit. Here we go. Shading. All right. Then we're just going to replace it with, here it is, the Gary Jordans. Air Gary. Air Gary. Oh, there's that. That's awesome. There it is. Okay. And then, of course, this one would be the exact same UV as that one. All you have to do is get rid of that one, mirror this, separate them after. So that would be not Y. Actually, it's X. Just gonna need to center using that one right there, and there we go. It's Z, and yep, there it is. And it's the same on this side on that one. And then when you plan to animate them, you want to want them separate. Of course, you can apply the modifier and then go to your selection. Like if I select the whole thing here, press P. We'll have lesson on this. I just want to show real quick that it can be done like this. And you separate that, and then you get 2 independent ones, and you didn't have to do any UV on this one. Everything kind of match. All right, there you go. All right, and that's our UV lesson. We could do this one probably as a separate kind of lesson. I don't want to drag this kind of too long. You can definitely unwrap this by selecting the edges right there, mark seam and all that. So let's do that for another lesson. So I'm going to end the video here.